Today we're going to be talking about percent of change and percent error. The first thing that we need to do when we're going to talk about percent change, though, is define it. And percent of change is the amount of change over the original amount. Amount of change over the original. And when we talk about amount of change over the original, this is the amount, the percent change is the amount stated as a percent that a number increases or decreases. So think about when might percent of change be useful. I'm going to give you just a couple, I'm going to give you the obvious answer. Prices, when we talk about sales price or markup price, which we've been doing a little bit of already in class. We're talking about how things change, the amount that a number increases or decreases. We could also talk about populations, so populations of people or animals or other things in our world. Populations, we talk about percent of change, how things are changing over time. Are there any others that you can think of? If so, feel free to write them here and we can discuss them in class. Otherwise, these are the two big ones. I'm just going to put etc. and then I'm going to open up here so you can see the next part. So how to find percent of change. To find percent of change, we have to subtract to find the amount of change. That's the top number. Final amount minus the original amount. Or original amount minus the final amount. We just subtract to find that amount of change. Does it matter which way you do it? Well, why or why not? When we subtract to find percent of change, we want the biggest number to go first so that we get a positive answer instead of a negative answer. And then if it is a decrease, a percent of change that decreases, we'll put decrease at the end of it. So we don't put a negative sign and the word decrease. We'll just put the word decrease to show that it decreased percentage. So we'll put the big number first and the smaller number second. So we'll then write the ratio, the amount of change. So what we did, we subtracted. And we'll write it over the original amount. So the fraction bar means divide. So we'll write it as a decimal. And then we'll convert the decimal to a percent by multiplying by 100 or moving the decimal two places to the right and adding a percentage sign. And then we'll determine if the percent of change is an increase or a decrease. So what number goes in the denominator? The original. And then what is a common error? A lot of people, they want to put the original over the new. It's really important that we don't do this, and that we instead we need to find the change. So it's just a really common mistake that we see as teachers. Instead of putting the amount of change over the original, people want to put the original over the new and just divide before they subtract to find the amount of change and then divide. So they kind of miss that first step of actually finding the change. So let's do one to start together here. The first example is a video games example. It says a football video game sold for $75 last year. This year it sells for $45. Did the price go up or down? Well, it went down. How much did it go down? 75 minus 45. It went down $30. This is my amount of change right here. This is how much it changed. What percent of the original price is this? Well, we've got 30%. Here's my formula. Amount of change, 30 over the original amount. So we've got amount of change over the original. If we divide these two, it'll give us a decimal. And then if we multiply by 100, this percent sign should not be here, and I apologize that it is. It should just be times 100. We can multiply by 100 or move the decimal 2 places to get our percent as a whole number. So times 100. This is where it'd be really helpful to pull out your calculator and let your calculator do the higher level math here for us. 30 divided by 75 is 0 and 4/10. Again, to get this to be this decimal to be a percentage, we can multiply by 100, or we can just move the decimal 2 places to the right, whatever you prefer. The formula would tell us to multiply by 100, which then spits out our percentage of 40%. So the amount of change here was a 40% decrease. And this is what I told you earlier. We're never going to have a negative percentage when we're doing this. Right now, we're just going to put 40% increase or 40% decrease on all of our answers. And since this one went down, we're going to call this a 40% decrease.